1, and go.
All right. Well, here we are. Oh no. Next. Hold on. There we go. Shh. Now we're back. We're in the right place. The music's in the right spot. We're back to Mateia, session 4. All right. So, last time, our group boarded a train on the way home. Um, while they were in this train, they explored a few different cars. They met a few passengers throughout, um, especially in the bar cart, enjoying some old chicken and some drinks. Um, Gleba learned of the the flavor for this, shall we say, marinating chicken under the bar. But eventually made their way to the point of a train where there was a ticket taker that met and punched all of your guys' tickets. Soon, soon after, you encountered a few shadow demons. You defeated them in combat, and then you tried to slice through the train car with Naomi's fire-empowered glaive. And as you did that, you felt the ripping and tearing of some skin, muscles, and tendons, as well as smelling that of cooking meat. And as you're attempting this, Anthea looked outside and noticed that the moon was very white, almost too white. And she got the feeling, in passing, almost that the moon blinked like an eye, but you couldn't really tell one way or the other. Eventually, not being able to get past through the door, that felt like it was being secured by musculature. They made their way back into the train car that had the sleeping quarters, and they found rest and began a evening sleep, where they made their way into their dreams independently, encountering pleasant memories of their past and a couple things which are maybe hopes that they'll get to accomplish at some point. But both Naomi and Anthea, while in their dreams, noticed independently of each other an unknown presence in their dreamscape. Um, while kind of perceiving this and picking up on this, um, they trekked to where these unknown creatures were, and they both, in their own separate dreamscapes, noticed that these creatures pulled a dagger or a hand blade and sliced at a 45-degree angle, seemingly through reality itself, splitting space-time or the edges of their dream, and then they reached out and separated it, and a glow appeared through. And at that moment, we flashed back over to Vallista and Pax, who are still living happily and freely in their dreams. Vallista dancing with Helene, and Pax creating everything that they can think of. So, as we come into our session, we find both Naomi and Anthea. You've just both noticed these two creatures independently of each other, like I said, who sliced through your walls of your dreams, maybe? We'll start with Anthea. What do you want to do?
I'd like to try and follow the
Okay.
fake
Go ahead and make me. Are you trying to follow it stealthily, or are you trying to rush up on the creature?
Uh, Probably just rushing over to kind of see what's going on. This is a really personal memory, so she's kind of like miffed.
Okay. So as they slice through and they kind of reach out and separate, and you see this glow. You see that they they turn their head to you, and they dive in to or duck into the split that they have made, and you see them disappear off into further into whatever it is that they've opened up, and you can chase them through there if you so choose.
She's gonna follow, taking a last look back, but quickly following along so she won't fall behind.
You take a last look back, kind of taking in this memory, and as you step through, you see the memory fades almost into a cloud, and the seam that was cut just reseals itself. And as you turn and look, Naomi, you see that this creature has just sliced through your same edge of your dream, or edge of the place where you are currently finding yourself to be. What do you wish to do?
Well, I had chased the figures for as long as I could before they disappeared on their own, so as something that seems like it doesn't truly belong here, I would chase it down as well.
Are you chasing it stealthily, or are you just going full throttle?
I'm in full plate armor, my good DM. I do not do
Yeah.
anything stealthy.
That's true. Um, as you just gong 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 gong, chasing, you're actually making less ruckus than you thought you would, being completely engulfed in plate armor. It's almost like your armor doesn't weigh quite as much or have as much girth behind it in the setting where you are right now. You chase this creature the in through the seam that it made appear, and as you step through, you look back, and for a second you see your small form being picked up by um, a resident of that household, and they turn and shut the door as they walk back inside. And you turn and look the other direction really quickly, and you see the two figures that you had previously been chasing, who had dropped the figure off at the staircase at the um, top of the stairs, still sprinting off into the distance. Um, and as that fades away out of your view, you turn to continue chasing the person through the seam, and same thing happens. The the environment where you were just kind of fades, and that seam seems to seal itself. Ballista, as we turn back to you dancing with Helene, um, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Alright. Perception.
First roll of the night. There you go. That's how you do it.
17.
With a 17, you're dancing with Helene. She's spinning you. You're laughing. She's laughing. The first time you've laughed like this in a while. You're feeling this sense of abundant joy overcoming you from top to toe and throughout. And as you're kind of being spun and dancing and spinning and dipping her and just taking this all in, reliving this moment, you feel this cold sensation on your left shoulder. And as you kind of turn your gaze to where the cold seems to be coming from, it's almost like the cold was a breeze that had kind of sequestered itself on your shoulder there momentarily. And as you turn to follow it, to kind of look and see what's causing that chilled sensation, you can almost see like your breath, if you're in a wintry night, how you can see it in front of you. As you turn and you kind of exhale, you see your breath just move, almost like it's directing you to go that direction. What do you do?
I will follow it.
As you follow your frozen breath leading you in that direction, you see that Helene kind of holds on to your fingertips for a second before you break free. And she just kind of stands there, sulking a bit, with her arms at her side. And as you follow your breath, you see after walking for a few moments that it leads you to a long, dreary hallway. And as you look around, you see that the walls themselves seem to have almost been covered with a sense of frost. It's like a darker frost at the top, and it kind of lightens up as it gets further towards the ground, but it's like this room has just almost flash frozen, like you were walking into a walk-in cooler and you're not quite all the way in. And as you kind of train your eyes down to the end of this hallway, you see a figure that you've never seen before. A small human child with a blade in their hand, and they reach out, and there's not a door or a window or anything in front of them. There's just open hallway that seems to run on as far as you can see. They reach out and they just kind of just touch what just looks to be empty space, and you see ripples kind of emanate from where their finger just tapped the space in front of them. And almost like lightning, the blade that they have in their hand just makes a few slashes into this space, and you can see that as they reach in to separate where they made these slashes, there's this tonal shift where the light is changing from like these whites to these blues to the oranges to these blacks, and it's just a mix of different colored lights just blasting through. And as they separate a little bit more, they step in. Do you follow, or do you just stand behind?
I follow.
Do you follow stealthily, or do you follow non-stealthily?
I am not in full plate armor,
Correct.
but I am just forwardly, walking towards it. I'm not stealthing.
Okay. As you walk forward and you go to step through this split in this hallway, it's very bright in there, and you can't quite make out details of what you're walking into. But as you step through this gap in space and you turn back, you see Helene kind of standing there at the end of the hallway with a frown on her face. You can see that she's crying as her eyes are puffy and red, and she's reaching out to you, and you can just read on her lips for a second. It says, "Don't go," as the seam that had been sliced reseals itself shut. Pax, we find you in your scene creating under this giant tree of life with creatures abound all around you, all kinds of different items that you have created. Go ahead and make a perception check for me as well, please.
Do. 22 on the D&D Beyond. It's not letting to roll 20 because
That's fine. With a 22, as you're creating and as you're moving around and just getting a feel for what is in the space where you currently are, something feels almost destructive in nature. And compared to your creation magic, this feels like the antithesis of that. And as you look around, you see a medium height humanoid creature a little far off in the distance. And you see that one of the creations that you had put up, it seems to be like a teenage tree, if you will. It's not fully grown, it's not small, it's probably about 8 feet tall, maybe 2 or 3 feet wide, about the size of what you would imagine a large doorway to be. And as this creature walks over to it, they are kind of feeling around it, and they seem to find that perfect point where as they put their hand on it, you also see these ripples just kind of emanate from their hand, and they pull out what looks to be an axe that you would use in a lumberyard to chop down a tree. And they, with one quick, swift motion, just and expecting it to go into the tree and hack a chunk out of the tree, you look in that anticipation of expecting it to happen, but when that's not what happens, you get this feeling of relief. But then you see that they have made this slice through some invisible barrier. And you see that they also reach in and separate it, and they go to step through as well. What do you wish to do?
I entreat the trees nearby, the foliage, to wrap around and grab this person. Entreat the vines to stop them.
You can certainly try. Go ahead and roll me just a straight D20 luck check.
Okay, doke. Let's see if this works.
Do you have the exception turned on?
I'm just gonna roll it straight from the D20 check.
That's fine.
Oh.
Nice. With a natural 20, you entreat these vines to reach out and grab at this person, this creature. And as they go to grab at them, it's almost, as they go to grab, you fully expect them to restrain this creature, and as they wrap around them, the creature just kind of turns back and looks at you and just shakes their head, and you just see this half smirk grin appear on their face. But there's this deep, unsettling sadness and look of exhaustion in their eyes as they just kind of float through the vines, almost like they weren't fully corporeal when the vines grabbed on to them.
Can I intuit from their sadness what their purpose might be? Like maybe an insight check of because someone that's wantonly destroying forest you think would be gleeful or something like that. But sadness strikes me as odd for this vandal.
Go ahead and roll an insight check.
D20. Nope, I am flummoxed.
So as
20 to a 1. Hooray.
As you see the sadness and this exhaustion, and they just kind of step back through these vines, them moving through their incorporeal self, they step into the space that they have just opened up. And you see them disappear into it, but the space itself is still open to you.
Well, I'm going to chase after them.
Okay. As you chase after them, you kind of hesitate at that last second as you're stepping through and look back at everything that you've created and where you are, and you see that life here is thriving. It's beautiful, it's healthy, and it's good. And as you and you finish stepping through this gap that they have made, you see that it kind of fades, and the seam that you stepped through just sews itself back up. And then we'll go back over to Anthea. As you step through and you look around, I need you, with as much detail and as much time as you wish to take, describe to me what the inside of Anthea's soul would look like.
Oh my god.
No pressure.
No pressure. So to visualize it, I suppose it would probably look like similar to how a fungal network would have like sort of webs of interconnected things that sort of light up and interact with each other. So her soul is what I'm describing?
If you were, as you walk through this through the seam, you look around, and what you imagine what the inside of Anthea's soul would look like from an environment perspective. Yes.
Probably say that's sort of, it sort of looks like a forest of connected, sort of connected roots, but yeah, there might be like bits of pieces of, like, trying to think of things that are at the core of her being. Yeah, it comes down to like mycology and her parents being botanists, everything is very like interconnected, very much the natural world. Yeah.
As you step into what you've described, you find yourself amongst roots and vines and what you imagine, what you know to be the fungal network if you were to take a side view of the undergrowth from a mushroom colony and how that kind of everything interconnects and weaves together in the soil. You find that where you are it's well lit for feeling like the interconnectedness of a mushroom network. As you look around, you see that there are these small, about foot and a half, maybe 2 feet tall little toadstools who are bipedal, and there are 3 of them who are there to greet you, and they all kind of have their hands up like they want to grab at your hands and lead you in a certain direction. As you look up and look around, you don't see the creature that you followed in.
I'm going to sort of bend my knees a little and reach down towards the toadstools and take their little outstretched hands.
They, one each grabs you from each of your hands, and the other one has points on their head, and you see that Gleba is now with you, and Gleba jumps on their head. Oh no, we lost Groovy. Come back. And
We come home.
yeah, right. Groovy, come back. Hold on, I gotta find it now. 1 sec. As Groovy died for some reason, did they kill it already? Maybe. It'll come back. Oh no!
To come back.
Now it's dead.
What?
It's gone.
Did we just witness the moment of Groovy's death?
I think so.
He's right there. I see him.
Oh no, Groovy, you busted me at the wrong time.
I thought we had a couple more days.
Groovy,
no.
we missed you.
Resuscitation. Come back.
I think Groovy's back. Hold on. Yeah, Groovy's back. Whew. Sorry for that, Groovy, ruining my narration. But you see that Gleba is now on the head of the toadstool who is leading you but not holding you by your hands. And as you follow this toadstool through this maze of different roots and different vines and different plant-based creations, you find that they lead you to this open clearing. And in the middle of this open clearing, there is one very large mushroom. And in the middle of this mushroom, something seems to be glowing and emanating from it. But blocking this glow and this emanation of light, you see the creature that you had followed in. And they seem to be fallen to their knees with their blade at their side, and you can hear them whimpering. And as you get led closer and you take in more and more of what you're seeing, you see that causing this glow from in front of them, there is this greenish brownish crystalline orb about the size of your head that's just in the middle of this mushroom, emanating this light. Everything in this area feels alive, but dead at the same time, but also this feeling of regrowth and rebirth. It feels natural, it feels normal, and this creature is just whimpering, and you hear them muttering under their breath that they're very sorry. Naomi. Oh, go on.
No, it's good. I just want to look down at the toadstools and see if they're reacting to this.
They're smiling in booping along, just excited to get you to your destination.
Okay.
It seems, as you look around, he also has 3 toadstools that are with them in front of this big mushroom. And they're just standing there and they're waving at their toadstool friends as well. Naomi, as you see your memory kind of fade and this seal that you stepped through kind of sew itself back together, and you turn and look in the direction of the creature that you were chasing, describe for me in as much detail as you would like what the inside of your soul looks like.
Oh man. So the inside of Naomi's soul would probably be a mix of two things. The kind of base level where she would step foot onto would be a replica of the city that she grew up in, the one that she is now a knight for. But above her would be a kind of actually a solid white sky with golden stars in it. And some stars are brighter than others, while some seem to fizzle out, while others come into existence. So it's forever changing above her, but there are, I have to think about this, 1, 2. There are 7 stars in the sky that are big and bright and just vibrantly expressing color over her that does not seem to dwindle or change or disappear or anything of that nature. So the ground level is the place that she recognizes as her hometown, which, while her oath is to the king, her oath is also to her people. So
As you step through and you take in this scene, you are overwhelmed by the feeling of belonging and sense of welcoming. And as you take in a little bit longer all the fine details of what surrounds you and what's above you, you feel this strange sensation on your back. And as you kind of look over each of your shoulders, you see that attached to your back now and coming from them are these golden set of wings that almost seem to be made out of just energy. And they start flapping and start lifting you off the ground. And as you try to control them, it's not so much that they are out of your control, it's just that they seem to have a goal in mind of the direction in which they wish you to go. Do you resist where they try to take you, or do you wish to go with them?
there would definitely be a very long moment of panic uh, at the sudden sight of wings on her back and, being lifted unwillingly from the ground. Um, what direction am I getting pulled in?
You're getting pulled up, primarily up, but you're also being pulled forward, so almost at like a 25-degree angle looking up. Like up towards the 7 jewels that you described.
I would think, after realizing that she didn't really have much control, she probably would fight it a little bit at first, trying to maintain control of herself. She would probably give in with the realization of where she's going, knowing what those 7 stars represent.
As you're carried up in this direction, 10, 15 minutes, or what feels like 10 to 15 minutes goes by, and you find yourself on, your wings bring you to this landing that seems to be above the clouds. And as you get on this landing, you see probably 30 to 40 feet ahead of you, the being that you had followed in here also has these wings on their back, but they look different from yours. They're not this golden, translucent energy looking wings. They're more of these bony, dark bony wings that have like almost this black sewage like consistency just dripping off of them. You have the outline and the structure of wings, but there's like this black ooze emanating from them, and they're just standing there, blade in hand. And in front of them, with the 7 stars above you still a solid 100 feet above you, but you can see them much more clearly now that you're up this high. But in front of this creature, you see that there is this floating orb, crystalline in its construction, infinitely complex in its construction, should I say. It's not something you've ever seen before, but as you look, it emanates this radiant golden light in the immediate radius, and then kind of a dim light a little further than that. And you see that as this creature is standing there, it seems to be taking some type of damage from this orb as it's getting closer and closer and closer. What do you do?
I instinctively reach for my glaive. Is it on my back?
You don't find your glaive, but what you find is as you reach back, when you pull your arm back in front of you, you see that your arm itself has almost like a blade coming out of the top of your right gauntlet, like a small blade has emitted from it. So you almost have this blade that emanates over your fingertips, and it is pulsating with this golden aura as well. It's almost like this weapon is an extension of your arm, but not quite the size of your glaive. It's almost like the end of the glaive itself is coming out of your forearm, like your arm itself is the main body of this glaive.
Okay, this is new. I would turn my after seeing that and being shocked. I would turn my attention to the person as they walk towards me, and I will just say, "Halt! What is your intention?"
They look up at you, and you see not the look or the expression that you expected to see on their face. You see that this creature, while standing there in an aggressive pose, with what you know to be the intention of doing harm to this floating orb in front of it, it seems to be crying tears of this black substance down its face, almost like someone has mascara running down their face, but this is much thicker and much darker, and it seems to be running from the entirety of both of their eyes down their face, just dripping off of them. And at the same time, as you see them crying, they almost have this weird twisted smile on their face as well, and they just say, I have to do it, and so I can dream again. And they go to lift up their arm, and Ballista, describe for me what the inside of your soul looks like.
Oh boy, okay. It would look like... what's the best way to describe it? It would look like a frosted over ballroom. Like out of a castle. Like basically picture, the Beauty and the Beast ballroom. It's big, circular, chandeliers all over it. completely frosted over with ice, and outside the windows there is a perpetual snowfall.
As you take in this cold yet comforting frosted ballroom and look out, and you see just this very light, calm, peaceful snowfall. You see ahead of you that small humanoid creature that you followed through the hall. And you see that they're almost building a snowman. Um, but as you kind of look at it a little closer and a little longer, you see that while it looked like a snowman from afar, it's actually, they are using the snow that has fallen into this ballroom to make circular steps to stand up on to get to what looks to be the head of the snowman, but it's really this icy, frozen orb that is just hovering in midair. Um, they don't look like they're in a rush to get to this orb. They look like that's their goal, but they look like they're enjoying the process more so than the goal. The journey for them seems to be more important at this moment than whatever it is their goal might be. What do you do as you see this?
I would like to lift up my right arm and point it towards this figure.
As you lift up
Is
your right
the
arm,
frost there?
it is not. It looks like what it looked like in the before times.
Okay. I just want to walk up to this figure and, if possible, put my hand on their shoulder if they have one.
They do. As you walk up and place your hand on their shoulder, you see that the weapon that they were holding that made the entryway into this domain seems to be on the ground a few feet from them. They look at you in the eyes and they smile. And they say, This is probably the most peaceful place I've ever been. How did you create this place?
I would just sigh and look at the figure and say, it is a rather sad story. One for another time, perhaps.
They stop kind of making this large orb of snow that they were packing to kind of continue their step. They stop doing that, and they turn and they sit, and they try to reach out and just calmly take you by the hands. This person, as you look at them now, they seem to be a young boy about the same age as you are right now. And they say, "It's okay. We have all the time that we need. You don't need to wake up. It's okay. Life is best lived in dreams. That's where we can all see our family and be happy and have to deal with any of the sicknesses or the bad stuff in the world. This is where we should stay.
How high up is the orb?
You're a little taller than this small boy, so probably about 4 inches just out of arm's reach. You could jump up and hit it, or you could step on one of the steps he was making and reach up and easily grab it.
I will kind of just look at the boy. What do they look like again? Sorry, I might have missed that.
It's
If
just
you described.
it's a small 8 or 9-year-old boy, lightly dusted, dirty blonde hair, deep, almost mud-like brown eyes, fair skin with some freckles. They look very tired, very weathered, and for a boy this young, it almost looks like they're very gaunt, like they've had some type of sickness or illness that has not let them thrive in the manner of which they were meant to.
I will look down at the boy and I will say, if I ever find you again, I promise I will tell you the story. But I need to go home, and I will try and walk up the stairs to grab the orb.
Okay, you walk up the stairs towards the orb. Pax, as you step through, following the being that your vines weren't quite able to restrain, you turn and you see the imagery fade away. You see the seal that they had cut open kind of reclose itself. And as you turn and you look, describe what the innermost portions of Pax's soul look like.
The first image is of a single drop of water, scintillating with stars, rolling and spinning slightly on a thin slope, trickling down. That is the core of the essence, the small amongst the vast, the tiny actions in this vast sea. As one seems to float higher, there are drops everywhere, coursing together, forming small rivulets, heading down the green, lush slopes of a forested landscape as they join together into a river far from the individual, but still connected. A knowledge of the greater whole, even though there's not a comprehension of what that purpose may lead. And throughout all the surfaces of the water, through the streams and the creeks, the rivers, the mighty seas and the gulfs and the oceans, and the glimmering of stars above.
As you're taking in this phenomenal natural beauty of where you are, this serene landscape, you feel this pull to continue walking forward. You see, as you kind of follow the reflections of these stars with your eyes, and different ones catch your eye, what is similar to the North Star, but in the environment where you are, is pulsating off in the distance a little ways, and it catches your eyes. It's not the normal white to yellowish coloration of a star, but this one's very, very blue. You see this bright blue, almost like a lighthouse, flashing every few seconds, just slowly pulsing, almost like it's calling to you from a distance. What do you do?
I'll try to follow it, whether it be with my physical form or I'm not quite sure what the conveyance is in this kind of spiritual realm, but whether it's floating or running afterwards, I will will myself closer to it.
Yeah. As you start to move towards it, you feel yourself able to walk, but as you are walking, the steps that you're taking, it's almost like you're walking on water itself, as every step you take there's a little bit of a small, very minuscule puddle that just kind of drifts off of your foot, like you're stepping in very shallow water. But even every few steps where you might feel like you're going to fall in, you don't. You're able to walk, and you're able to follow this deep blue, bright blue pulsation off in the distance. And as you get closer and closer and closer, you see that this light is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and brighter. And you see that eventually, after walking for quite some time, it's on top of a tree. This tree is probably a solid 80 to 100 feet tall, and you just see this blue star sitting on top of this tree, just pulsing and glowing. And as you look around, you see as far off in the horizon as your eyes will give you vision, this seems to be the center of this place where you are. And as you look around a little more and kind of walk to the other side of this very large tree, you see that sitting there on the ground, blade at their feet, is the creature that you followed, that made this opening, that passed through before you. And holding in their hands is this crystalline orb of a silver and golden hue, and it's just kind of looking at it, inquisitive and curious, but with a look of determination in their eyes. And they look up at you, and they just say, why do you deserve something so beautiful that the rest of us aren't allowed to have?
So raises as he speaks, we'll try to conjure a little bit of magic, a little bit of the sound of chimes or bells that seem not to emanate from him, but from the vision, and say, "It is not beauty for me, but for what I can put into the world. If I can be a vessel where that beauty and harmony can touch others, that is the goal. We might touch the beauty, but we never hold it too long. And grace be upon us if some of it remains on our fingers."
They continue to look at you, just taking in and fully digesting kind of their take on what it is that you just spoke to them. And they sigh and they go, "Do you know why I've come here? Do you know what this is?" They hold up the golden silver hued orb a little higher so you can see it almost to their chest level.
No, I do not, but pray tell. You are welcome here.
I was sent to destroy this, leaving you in an everlasting slumber so that our master can finally give me and my friends the ability to sleep and dream forever. This," he motions to the orb that he's holding up in front of you, "this is your soul incarnate, and if this is destroyed, you never wake up, but you are in whatever dream it is that you found yourself before you followed me here. And if I get rid of this, I can leave. I can break the seal between us, leaving you here, but then I get the ability to finally dream and to finally sleep. Tell me why I shouldn't." And you see at this point he's starting to cry.
What pain has racked you that this eternal sleep feels so necessary? How have you come to this horrible predicament?
he took everyone from us. He took them home. But home isn't what we thought. Home isn't where you want it to be. Home is death for him. He uses the train as a way to get food for himself, and he feeds off of people's dreams and their eternal sleeps. And I don't know where he takes them. But we have no one. We have nothing left. We have no family. We have no home. We have no sense of self. We don't even have the ability to sleep or dream without his power. And you see that as they say that, the slight color that they did have starts to fade to be more and more pale, almost like they're going to be sick. You know, that kind of look that, you know, something's physically turning their stomach, and they just kind of get a little bit more pale, and then they kind of wait for a second, take a deep breath, and you hear them swallow, knowing that they were resisting the urge to be sick.
They're seated, right, Alex? This person?
Yeah, they're seated cross-legged with this orb just kind of in both of their hands, kind of looking up at you and holding it at about chest level.
Okay. As I speak, I'd slowly walk towards them and sit down, 2-3 meters away, so in the friendly let's sit in the general area, but I'm not in your space kind of way. So I sit cross-legged as well. And not opposite them either, but kind of, like we're both looking in the same direction, but kind of to the side, and say, that is truly dire. How many are there in your community? How many are in this situation?
4. And he kind of closes his eyes for a minute. And he takes out you hear a very long, very exhausted exhale, like people put out when they have been awake for much too long and they're ready to sleep, but they just can't. And as you hear this exhale, you kind of, his feelings, his emotions are kind of almost emanating off of him in the same kind of way that you pick up musical intonations when you hear different scales and different notes being played in different melodies. You're picking up their emotions and their discord in a way, the same way that you pick up your arcane magic from music and other performances in the natural world. And as you're getting these feelings from this being, Anthea, you see the person that you have followed in with the 3 toadstools at their feet and the 3 at your feet, kind of looking up at this tree with this emanating green glowing crystal from the middle. And they've lifted their head to look up as they're on their knees, as I had said, and they kind of turn and look at you, and they themselves look very, 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 very tired. And they look very confused. Like, what are you doing here? I was told you couldn't get in here.
Hello, you. Who are you? Why were you in my dreams?
I have a job to do. I was sent here to do my job. That's it. And this thing's just very pretty. I'm just taking it in for a minute before I break it.
Break it? Why do you have to break it?
If I break it, Master will finally let me go to sleep, and he'll let me see my family again. All I have to do is break this soul crystal so that you don't wake up, so that I can, and then he'll put me back to sleep with my family forever, and I don't have to worry about this ever again.
You sure there's no other way?
Me and my friends aren't strong enough to do anything about it. He'll just well, he'll just kill us again and bring us back again and make us do his bidding until he gets everything he needs.
Are you sleeping as well?
Yes, but no, I'm attached to you. That's how I can get in here. I can wake up whenever I need to, though.
Then why not just wake up?
Because then I'll get sent back here again, and I'll have to do this. I'll have to come back here and just do this anyway. If I don't do the job, he'll just hurt us all, and then he'll make it worse.
If you wake up, you'll be with us.
I don't know if you, I don't think you can help me. He's too strong, and we're just kids. We can't do anything. We just have to listen to him.
I think we can fix this.
How would you fix this? How can you fix this?
I don't know, but destroying things doesn't seem like an option.
It's my only option. It's the only thing I know what to do. I'm not good at anything else. I just break things because it's what I'm good at.
It will just pass your suffering on to someone else.
Well, that's not my problem. That's somebody else's problem at that point. I'll be sleeping. I don't care. I have no one. Just my friends, and we're all tired. We just want to go to sleep and dream and be happy again.
But it's not real.
It'd be real enough.
What if we could help you? You won't be stuck in a dream.
How would you help us?
I don't know, but we have to try. Wake up and let me have my soul.
Go ahead.
You won't find out if you take me down. You're not gonna find out. Can I try persuasion?
Yeah, make a persuasion. You can do at advantage because you're in your own soul. So.
Oh, fair. That roll?
Yeah, 15.
Oh, one of them did.
Yeah, one of them did. 15.
All right, we'll take the 15.
Well, I can tell you how to wake up, but I can't promise you'll be able to stay awake forever. You might end up right back here again.
Then we'll just try again. We can fix this.
Okay. You see that he points to his wrist, and as he points, you see what looks to be like the shadow of a watch band, like a suntan watch band burn on his wrist, but the darker portion of it, so it's like a dark red band around his wrist. Points to it on his wrist, and then holds up his arm and looks at you and points at his wrist and goes, "Look." And as you lift up your left arm, you see that around your left wrist there is the same thing. There is this deep red band that's just appeared around your wrist. He says, "We're bonded right now. I can wake up and I can get myself out of here, but you have to wake yourself up."
How do I do that?
You see that they pull out the dagger that they had, and he looks at it, and then looks at you, and then looks at it, and stabs himself in the thigh, and disappears.
Seems a bit dramatic. Okay, I'm going to grab Gleba off of the little toadstool's head. And then can I try, like, pricking my finger?
Yeah. As you prick your finger, you see that your eyes start to kind of open, and you see that you're waking up in the car Oh no, my train went away. Oh shoot, I've broken everything on my map. Yep, I broke my
Control Z.
Control Z.
I did.
Control Z.
Yes, yes.
Oh no, I broke my whole map, guys.
Oh
No.
There it is.
Control Z, you got it.
No, I fixed it.
no! Ah! Oh, the person!
It's all back. Yes, that's who I meant to bring out. But no, as you wake up, you see that the person who you were speaking with is beside you, and tied between their right wrist and your left wrist is a rope. And as your eyes kind of make their way open, their eyes kind of open as well, and you see that they take that same dagger and they slice the rope between the two of you and says, well, if you fall asleep, that's the only way to wake up. You also take 1 point of damage for having to poke yourself, to damage yourself to wake up.
I'm assuming Gleba's with me.
Yes, Gleba is with you 100%. And you see that, like, well, I can't help you wake up your friends. They have to figure it out on their own, and they have to wake themselves up. If you try to wake them, they may not survive.
Oh, the same thing is happening to them?
Yes. And as you look around, I'm just going to use 3 of the same token because I don't want to break my map again. You see that all of your friends seem to have ropes tied between them and a young child, the oldest being 14, 15 maybe, tied to their arms, between the rope tied between them, like you and this other child. They all seem to just be asleep. But you can imagine that whatever was happening with you is happening with them.
I guess all we can do is wait.
And they nod and they say, well, I wouldn't wait too long. The master will know that you've awoken from his dream. He will not be happy. But I can go ahead and I can try and learn, try and keep you hidden for a little while. But you have to keep your promise, and you have to beat him. If not, then I'm afraid what might happen to me and my friends. And with that, you see that they step through the door of the train car, and they just kind of disappear out of the train car, running in the direction of where you guys came from, towards the train car that is sealed with musculature. And as you see them leave, Naomi, you rush towards the guy who has the, moving towards the crystal emanating golden hue, seeming like holding one eye up to kind of shield himself from the light, with blade in the other hand, preparing for an attack, and not quite seeing you as you are coming in from his blind side from this light. What do you do?
I'm going to point my glaive in his direction as I'm slowly approaching, and I'm going to shout drop, and I'm going to use command.
You see, as you reach out and tell them to drop, they don't quite drop their weapon, but they stop in place, and they turn and they look at you, but their arm has fallen to their side, weapon still in hand, kind of in the right hand, with the left arm still kind of trying to block the light from the left side. But they turn and they look at you, kind of surprised that you're here. not expecting you to have followed them. And they're squinting to kind of make out your figure, and at this point, from their perspective looking at you, you have this almost battle angelic form as you have these wings emanating this golden light from behind you with your battle armor at the ready and your glaive coming out of your arm with your powerful commanding timbre of your voice forcing them to go against their own will and do something they didn't necessarily expect to do. And they just look at you surprised.
You need to put that down and you need to walk away.
Why? If I don't do this, they'll just continue to torture me, and this is the way to end it.
Who is torturing you?
My master, the master of the train.
The master of the Do you mean the train itself?
I don't think the train is. I don't know. I've only ever talked to his hand. His hand detaches and has a mouth with teeth and speaks to us when it comes to our chambers to tell us what to do. But I've never seen him. I know he's powerful.
Regardless, you need to put that down. I can help.
How can you help? And they're starting to shake a little bit, out of a combination of the light that they're standing in. This radiant, holy light is damaging them. You see that because of the direction that they're turned looking at you, their left side is what's facing this crystalline orb. Their left black wing is starting to disintegrate very slightly. You see that it's taking some damage and they're starting to get some burns on the left side of their body. Not major, but enough that you can see it starting to take a beginning of a toll.
Well, it would be a good idea if you set it down, considering you're starting to get injured from it. Set it down. Let us move away from it. We can talk.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check at advantage.
Okay. Persuasion. Wow, that's a bad roll.
You see that while they don't drop their weapon, they don't raise it any higher, but they do take a few steps away from the orb. So now they are outside of the immediate damage radius of it, but they're still holding up their hand to the side of their face as the light is still very bright. But they are not. You see the sizzling and the smoke of their anatomy kind of fading. They're not being burned currently.
Okay. For space wise, however many steps they took away from the orb, I will take as well. So we're still at the same space.
Okay.
Between us and the orb and each other, kind of making almost a triangle.
Yep.
Just to make it clear that like I have no intention on running for this thing. Like I want to talk. You say that you're in trouble, and yet you would risk yourself getting fairly hurt to get out of said trouble. What trouble are you in that would cause you to harm yourself even further?
Well, this would have been over a lot longer if this orb hadn't put up such a fight. I swung at it a few times and it didn't seem to want to break, and then it started putting off this golden energy, doing damage and blinding me temporarily. The trouble we're in is that we have no place to go. We have no home, we have no family, we have nothing, we have no money, we have no food, we have no medicine. We're dying slowly, and the master said that he can help us if we just help him with this one last job. He'll let us dream forever where we won't be hurt or hungry or sad or sick anymore. And we'll just be with our family and the rest of our friends. We'll be there forever.
But are you referring to what we just came from?
No, that's yours. That's not ours. That's your dream. That's your forever dream. That's not mine.
But it's dreams, it's not reality. You won't get to experience new things. You won't get to learn and grow and change and travel and, better yourself.
The master said that his dreams will have complete control and we can change things however we want and we can live and we can change. We can go to the past, we can go to the future, we can live our whole lives in our dreams, and we never have to worry about any of the negative parts of this world, this dark, dismal, shadowy world that we live in. We won't have to worry about that anymore. We can finally live back in the light and just be
Well,
happy.
while I agree that the world can be dark and dismal at times, it's not always like that. And if you work hard to find the happiness in things, you will find it. And she will point towards the orb. Um, she will say, that sort of brightness does exist in the outside world, and it's not harmful, it's embracing. It's wonderful, it's freeing, and it's something that you can have. What can I do to help you?
He kind of looks at you for a long, long time, um, without saying anything. Um,
You are not alone in this. Not anymore. I'm here. Let me help. And I will hold out my non-glaive hand to him or her, to the individual.
you see that they step towards you, turn their back angularly to the orb, drop their weapon, and step backwards towards the orb. And as you see the shadowy wings start to burn, they say to you, if you really want to help, wake up, and then you can help. And as they finish saying this, you see that they take one final step basically into the orb, completely destroying the wings that are on their back, and it's almost like they turn to dust and they just disappear. And as they disappear, you feel this burning sensation on the non-glaved arm around your wrist, and you look down and you see a deep red band has just appeared out of nowhere, like a searing hot red band around your wrist.
Ah! What is this? Wake up. Okay. I know I'm a dream. I'm standing on a cloud, right?
You're basically standing on a platform that is on top of a cloud, yes. And you
Okay.
are from this orb now, based on the way that you guys had set yourself up. You are about 20 feet from the orb itself. You see that it emits bright light for really, really bright light for about 10 feet, and then it's still emitting some more light that goes past you. But you're not feeling any type of pain from this orb in your current location.
I will take a couple steps to the orb, and if I don't start feeling pain, I won't approach it any further.
As you start to approach the orb and get closer and closer, kind of a hand out in front of you a little bit, you feel that the tips and the edges of your finger running up about halfway up your forearm, start to burn a little bit with this golden light. Do you instantly pull away, or do you hold there for a second?
I hold there for a second.
As you hold there and take the slight burning sensation that you're feeling, you feel your eyes get a little heavier, and as you kind of squint for a second and then start rubbing them, you find yourself laying in the bed on the train car with the person who you had just spoke with, who had wings, in the bed next to you with a rope tied between the two of you. They themselves have not woken up yet, but you have, and you see Anthea and Gleba kind of pacing back and forth through the cart a little bit, waiting for you to wake up. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break right here.
And go.
Alright. So, Naomi, you wake up, brushing the sleep from your eyes and seeing the person who you had just spoken with still asleep beside you with a rope tied between the two of your wrists, and Thea walking nervously back and forth through the train car with Gleba on her hat.
What a weird dream. Miss Anthea, you're awake.
You're awake too. She's a little excited. She'll kind of rush over.
Oh boy, God. She kind of holds up a hand and holding her head at one time, and this is when it becomes apparent she's not a morning person. She's like, hold on.
Did you drink coffee?
Do you have the liquid gold? Yes, I'm awake. Very peculiar dream, and then she'll look down at the little child sleeping next to her, and she's like, that's odd. And this is odd too. And she'll look down at her wrist. Do I still have the red burn?
You don't. In place of it, you have a rope tied around your wrist. Tied to the child.
Can I pull the... Can I yank the rope off of my wrist?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I will yank the rope off of my wrist and get to my feet. And I will look at Thea and say, we need to wake the others.
Can't wake them. They'll get... Well, something bad will happen. We just have to wait.
All right. And Naomi will go to the bed where the child is and take a seat on the bed and wait for the child to wake up. She has intention of asking them more questions.
Okay. As you sit down by the child, who is not named John the bartender,
It's a big boy. You big boy.
Valista, you find yourself stepping up the stone orb that the person in front of you had made, reaching up towards the orb. What do you want to do?
I would like to try and grab it.
You can grab it. Absolutely. It feels cold and almost metallic in your hands.
I'm gonna hold on to it and hold it close to my chest and kind of close my eyes and see what happens.
You hold it close to your chest and close your eyes and kind of focus on it for a moment, and nothing happens.
I open my eyes. Same place.
Same place. What are you trying to do? This small boy says to you.
Trying to go home.
But this is your home, isn't it? Wasn't that your home in there before you came in here?
I will turn around and kind of walk down and sit with the kid and say, I'm half tempted to be stupid and do the stupid Thanos line from Avengers.
It was, and it was beautiful. No. I will kind of look at them and say, it was my home, but it is no longer.
Why? What happened?
Villista will kind of smile a little bit and say, you remind me of myself, young, alone, in an odd place. And I'll reach out, put my hand on their shoulder, and say, if you can tell me how to get home, I will find you and I will tell you the story.
Well, to break out of these adventures that our master sends us on, he told us that if we ever should almost fail or feel like we're going to get caught or destroyed, that if we can hurt ourselves before somebody else can, then we can wake up and try again. It doesn't have to be like really bad. It can be as little as like stubbing your toe or like poking your finger or, jumping out of a tree. But that's how we get out of adventures when we are not doing well.
The dagger is still on the floor, right?
Yeah, it's probably 2 or 3 feet behind you guys at this point.
I would like to grab it, pick it up.
Okay.
And I will look at them and say, I'm going to kind of hold my hand out with the dagger over it and say, well, why don't we return together then?
They kind of look at you hesitantly for a second, and then they grab you by the hand and just give you a nod.
I will, run the dagger.
Okay. You run the dagger slightly over both of your hands, and you both bleed a little bit. You see them first just fall asleep, falling into your lap head first, and it's kind of, you hear them start to snore and doze off, and then you feel your eyes also get very heavy. The orb at this point has fallen out of your hands and rolled to the ground, but has floated its way back up to where you had initially grabbed it from. And as your eyes get heavier and you feel yourself falling asleep, and your head dripping forward, you wake up, um, kind of squinting a little bit. You have Hale sitting on your shoulder. You have this child asleep in your lap, and you look across both of your hands, and you have the mark from where the dagger was run across both of you. You take 1 damage for hurting yourself. And there's a rope tied between your left wrist and the child's right wrist.
And the child's like asleep on top of me.
Yeah, they're basically sleeping with their head in your lap.
Okay. I will very gently kind of just put my left hand like on their head, you know, and kind of just hold there for a bit.
Okay. As you do that, you kind of, as you're coming to and you're making sense of your surroundings and what has happened, you see both Anthea and Naomi are awake. Anthea still looking like she's waiting and just kind of walking back and forth a little bit, and Naomi just kind of also sitting, waiting patiently. And the two of you, as you're just kind of waiting patiently, you see that um, Ballista at the end of the cart does rouse from slumber.
Anthea's going to head over towards her and make sure she's okay.
Naomi just peers at her from a distance, kind of checking on her from a distance, but then she looks down at the child, and then looks over at Pax and is kind of eyeballing him and the, I'm assuming, child attached to him too?
Correct, yes. There is also a child attached to Pax. And the way that they're sitting is they're kind of like, Pax is like the way, because the three of you went to sleep at the same time, you, Anthea and Ballista, and Pax stayed up for watch. But as Pax fell asleep, you see that they're sitting with his back against the side of the cart, of the train car, and the child is sitting beside him. They're almost sitting with their heads touching one another, just kind of using each other to brace to keep themselves upright as they're sleeping.
Yeah. So seeing that Anthea is going to check on Ballista. Naomi will keep an eye on Pax.
Okay.
Ballista, you okay?
I'm alright. This one doesn't seem to be so. And I kind of like point down to the kid as I'm still kind of, running my hand over their head. And I say, they should not be here. This isn't right.
Oh, we need to help them and get us out of here.
I agree.
Anthea, as you look down at this young boy sleeping in the lap of Ballista, go ahead and make a medicine check for me. You see that this child, who does not look older than maybe 12 at the absolute most, has different patches of their skin that is discolored, so it's deep purples and reds, and almost scaling a little bit. There's purples and reds, and there's some blacks, and there's some blues, and some silvers, and it's scaling. And as you look and focus a little bit more, you see that you can see the skeletal structure of this boy's face. They're very thin. They look very weak. They look very malnourished. They look very sick. And as you kind of think about the medicines that you've helped create in your time and the diseases that you've helped study and kind of work towards treating and solving in your time, curing, you recognize this as something similar to something you've seen before. And this looks to be a terminal form of a disease that turns flesh to scale and then to stone and eats away from the inside of the person who suffers from it. And as you look around, you didn't really think about it too much before because they were looking pretty gaunt when you had first seen this traveler in your dreams. All of these children seem to be at different stages of this affliction, with the one in Vallista's lap being the worst.
Yikes. Do I know anything else about this illness, or is that I just know vaguely that it will be terminal?
Go ahead and you can either roll me a medicine or a nature at advantage.
I'll do medicine again. 16.
You know that it can be treated. It's difficult to procure the ingredients to do it. Not impossible, but very hard. And you've only ever heard of it being cured one time. And it wasn't cured through natural means.
Okay.
And you know that the disease name is the shadow flu. So,
I'll relay this to Ballista. Sounds like these children have a lot of problems. We need to get them out of here. If they have a chance of surviving, it's not going to be on this train.
If worst comes to worst, I can attempt something, but I think I could only have the power to save one of them.
as you guys are discussing this, Naomi, you're keeping an eye on Pax, and you see that the child with Pax, you see one or two tears coming from their eyes. And Pax, as you find yourself sitting next to this child holding this silvery gold orb, sitting cross-legged beside them, just kind of taking in your surroundings and discussing, they look at you and they say, "You speak of things that are beautiful and beyond comprehension, and things that we can merely touch but don't control. How would you help those that are void of all help and void of all hope? How would you help them?"
First learn their innermost light, for we all carry that, dim or distant though it may be. and to encourage them to create in the world. From my people, from my beliefs, dreams or hope or light or anything good in the world is never a zero-sum game. It's finite stock that is exhausted and depleted, but always something that is renewed through action, through effort, through our word, through the discovering of our gifts that we have. You seem to have a gift of stillness and of quiet and of thought. Perhaps other gifts yet untapped. Gifts that might help your fellow siblings stuck in here. Gifts that perhaps my friends and I could help bring you out of the situation.
Maybe. You could be right. I don't know. I haven't really had time to explore the things you speak of. Our master is very, well, he wants things done efficiently and quickly, and we want to be rid of this. We want to have our happily ever after, and he's promised that to us in the form of dreams and never having to wake up again once we complete this final mission. And he holds up the orb just a little bit, just to kind of emphasize what his mission is. In destroying these, keeping you and your friends here, to let him finish what he wants to do, and once we complete that, we'll be free of pain and free of sadness, and free to live in our dreams how we see fit. I don't know if I can give that up, that hope.
Do you know what your master's ultimate goal is? For I wonder if he tells you only half-truths. The sleep you speak of sounds more like the death, the nothingness, the darkness before any stars were. That seems to me a scary thing.
If you've lived the life we had, death would be but a warm welcome embrace. I can't say that going back to the world where we came from would be something that I would enjoy, but I also don't know if I believe that you and your friends deserve to have that choice taken from you. And he lowers the orb a little bit, not so much to the ground, but kind of in his lap, and just sits it there and sets it down and kind of takes his hands off of it a little bit and just kind of crosses them, but sits them atop the orb, kind of pondering.
Was this dream of mine that you've explored through different than you expected? Was there anything new or that caught you off?
Well, I've never seen anyone build such marvels and such creations. It was awe-inspiring. I think what it did for me is it built hope, if that's something you think you can create, but at the same time I know that it's not real, and while this is real for you, it's not what's real for me. Me and my friends and family, the four of us, we don't really have a future. We have what we're allowed to have, and that's the knowledge that we'll be able to dream forever, peacefully, and be able to build
Well,
there.
this is indeed all in your head, all in my head, but just because something's in your head doesn't mean it's not real. And for the distinctiveness that you might have seen through these images and explorations that we've shared together, my three friends, my three allies, have yet again different visions and skills and talents, as I'm sure you and your family does as well, depleted and oppressed and, I might say, indentured as you are. Let us try and wake up together and see what we can learn to find you a better place than just an infinite sleep. I fear that what you've been promised may be darker, doom your soul in a way to feed this master's wishes in a way that may bring more pain than peace.
Well, I mean, guess I can try and trust you and see if us waking up can change anything. I will say this may not be the only time you end up back here. Just know that every time you're here, you'll have to regain your self-awareness and, well, choose to leave, which I don't know if I would be able to choose to leave the peace and tranquility of this place on my own more than once. But
What is your name, young one?
I don't know. I don't have a lot of memories of who I was. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is how to fulfill my master's obligations and how to escape if things go wrong. But to leave this place, if that is what you choose to do, all you have to do is inflict a wound upon yourself, and that will remove you from this place of peace and tranquility, but I can't make you do that. And he holds the silver and gold orb up and he goes, if this was to ever be destroyed, you would never be able to leave. Your body would no longer become your own, and you would be stuck here, pleasantly, though, as it clearly is, for eternity without any memory or thought of the outside world. So, try and protect this, because if I can get here this easily, somebody else might again in the future, without the ability to converse with you, or the willingness to. But I think I'm going to try and trust you and your friends, and I think I'm going to leave with you, and, well, we'll see what happens.
Yes, let us awaken together. May I loan you a name so that we can make the most of these conversations, and I hope that we have many more.
If that makes it easier for you to communicate with me, then by all means, whatever name you choose is acceptable.
Name something is to mark it and remember it, and to set it in motion amongst the stars or amongst the other ideas that swirl around it. So may bore this as long as it feels that it fits, and discard it as you need. It is yours, and you need not share it with me or anyone else. But for now, I will offer you the name of Laguz, which is the unending lake, the still waters, and rest and reflect and go on forever. It is peaceful, it is secretive, and it is protective. So I hope that with that spirit you can find some calm and not sink too far into the depths.
You see, very quickly, you almost miss it, only because you were looking at them in the eyes as you guys speak. Did you see it? You saw just the smallest edge of a smile that disappeared as quickly as you saw it. And he goes, well, let's leave this place. And you see that they pull out a small little woodcarver's mallet and just hits themselves on the back of the hand, and you hear a light crunching sound, and then they disappear.
I'm going to sing out loudly and distantly and choose to fail my saving throw on Vicious Mockery.
Okay.
Awaken that way.
Cool. So you'll just take 1 damage instead of 5. And you awaken with your newly named friend beside you. Naomi sitting across from you, kind of just looking your way, and Anthea and Vallista a few feet to your right, just kind of talking with each other. You guys are all now awake. Naomi, you see that Pax's eyes kind of slowly start to open very soon after the child beside him awakens as well.
Sir Pax, you're awake.
Yes, that was quite a trip. I see we've all met some childlike companions. Has anyone gleaned what might be afflicting them, or how we might help them and escape ourselves?
I think it sounds like Anthea may be onto something. I didn't catch too much of what was said. My little one here, and she'll gesture to the one that's sleeping next to her. My little one here said something along the lines of, "Oh, how did they word it?" It sounds like the master, their master, is the one that's keeping them here, and promising them what sounded like essentially endless slumber, just to escape their current realities and try to build their own. But I mean, they're just kids. They deserve an opportunity to explore the world and see it all.
Yeah. Let us see if we can endeavor to help them and maybe find our own way out of this place, this seemingly cursed train.
As you look down at your wrists, those of you who had ropes tied between your wrist and the child's, they kind of start to fade away as they almost ignite in flame and slowly turn to ash. Not painfully, they just kind of disappear into nothing. It almost looks like, Pax, when you create something out of nothing and then you kind of dispel it back into nothing, how it just kind of disappears into the ether. It just disappears. You are now free to no longer be attached to the children, those of you who were attached to them.
The child I spoke with is gone to try and help us and buy us time. I think we need to hurry and try to find this master that's been keeping them hostage.
You all do, as you wake up from the sleep, you all do benefit from the long rest. Just so you want to bar the one damage you each took, you get a long rest.
Hooray!
So.
And Anthea, you're right. Let's think back. Have we seen anyone suspicious that could be this supposed master?
Well, I didn't get a description. I just know that doesn't seem to be very kind master based on how these children are being treated. They also seem to be afflicted with some sort of disease. We need to get them out of here.
Agreed.
And Anthea is going to start going in the direction that my little friend went, which was out this exit, right?
Correct. Yep. So do you all follow Anthea towards that exit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are the other kids still sleeping?
Currently, yes.
Okay.
Should we carry them with us, I guess? It seems maybe not ideal to leave them on their own.
Be more dangerous where we're going. Do you think we can protect them?
Or should one of us, I don't know, guard their sleeping forms? It just seems, yeah. If only we had a magical place to store them. Where's a portable hole when you need one? Or a Lehman's tiny hut we could carry or something.
I don't think the train is particularly out to get them. I think, if anything, being the new ones on the train, I would think that we are more likely the targets. So
maybe we
I
leave
would
them in these
question.
beds then?
I mean, I would question if taking them with us wouldn't be a hindrance, but at the same
Right.
time, I don't really think there's any place safe to put them on the train.
Hmm. Well, with so many unknowns, I guess leave them here and hope that they're safe as we press on.
As much as I hate to say it, I think that's going to be our best bet. I can't think of anywhere safe to put them that this master won't find them, considering it's his train, but I'm more than willing to explore any other options if anybody has any idea.
Vallista will gently kind of get out of the bed, leaving the kid behind. You know, best abilities to do it nice and gently.
Hmm.
And she'll kind of take a few steps forward and say, I will tell you two what I told Antea. I may have the power. It is limited, but I may have the power to save one of these kids if things
For
get
what means, do you think? For what means would you save them?
unfortunately, and I kind of take off the little hood over my right arm, and I kind of hold it up, obviously revealing the frost and cold scales that overtake it.
Oh,
But it would guarantee at least one of their safeties, potentially.
I guess we can keep that in reserve if we need it. Hopefully we can get them all out of here. I suspect getting them out is the key to getting us out, you know.
Could leave Gleba.
That's an idea.
Make sure
Leave our
they're okay.
companions behind. Yeah.
Vallista will look back and, in Primordial, shout, Hail! Watch over this young one. I will be gone for a while. And then just turns around, facing everyone else.
Hale floats to the top of the cart and freezes to the ceiling, hanging there in the icicle form, while literally watching over the child.
Thea's gonna hold Gleba under, kind of like under Gleba's little arms and look very seriously into Gleba's big Gleba eyes.
Roar?
Okay, Gleba, if anything happens, I need you to follow us and try to find us. You watch the children.
You see Gleba's mushroom little hat just kind of nods and goes, Robert. Looks real stern in Gleba's face.
Serious. I love it. Okay, and I will put Gleba on the little bed to watch the children there.
Okay.
Okay, that's I think the best we can do.
Agreed.
Agreed. I think that it is in our best interest to try to do this as quickly as possible, though I don't have the faintest idea of where to begin unless. And Naomi will kind of look over at Ballista. I wonder if that door is open now.
Oh, that's a good thought. Yeah.
Well, I'm not one to go into a situation unprepared. Sir Pax, may I have your hand, please?
Of course.
And I will give you 1 point of lay on hands, so you're back to max health.
Hooray.
I will approach Vallista and offer her my hand. May I?
Lista gives you her unfrosted hand.
Wow, being nice. I will give her 1 point of lay on hand, and then I will turn around and say, "Let us catch up to Miss Anthea. Miss Anthea, may I have your hand?"
Oh, yes. Give her my hand.
Wonderful. And I will give you 1 from my lay on hands, and then I will give myself, putting me back at max as well. Boop.
Cute.
I booped everyone. Boop 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 boop.
Was this door to the top also in the same direction as the weird door that we tried to get through? Or is it the opposite direction?
So basically, you guys. So think of it as like you're snaking, like snake and ladders. So basically, all of these are in a straight line. But the doors that you'll go through, the door you couldn't get through is basically 2 train cars ahead of you.
Okay.
So you went through this door, you came in the other way, and you went 2 cars, and you couldn't get through that one. I assume you all want to go into the next train car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. I'm just gonna bebop you right there.
What about Rocksteady?
Rocksteady somewhere. You don't know where.
Oh my god, get out of here.
You guys make your way into the next train car. The passengers in this train car are still asleep as you left them. As you saw, I'm assuming you want to keep on walking.
Yeah.
And as we
I'll have to
begin
dip for a few minutes. I'll be back very shortly.
as we begin to start walking out, Vallista will take her hood and throw it back over her head.
Put yourself in the order of which you guys are walking through this train car.
Anthea would want to be in the lead.
Okay.
Middle, I guess.
If Anthea wouldn't allow Naomi to be in the lead, she would be second.
Okay.
Just get ready to duck.
Wait, so we're walking this way, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Yes.
you guys are walking down
Okay.
this way. Yep. So as you get closer to the door that you know you couldn't get through before, you make your way to it. It looks a little bit different this time. The door itself looks like it's beginning to crack. It looks like the frame of the door itself is becoming more tense and more taut and more striated. It looks like where the wood paneling on the door should be. It looks like there's musculature that is beginning to make its way through cracks and breaks in the frame and in the wood itself. And as you begin to look around, everything about this train is a little bit different from before you went to sleep. There are vessels, very small, in cracks and creases. There is flesh, there is musculature, there is almost blood seeping from the insides of the windows. But this door, as you check the handle, doesn't seem to be locked, and it, as you go to put some pressure on it, it doesn't seem that it's giving you the resistance that was there prior. Seems like it could be opened if you wanted to push through.
I think that you were right. This is the way to go. Do you want to lead the way, Naomi?
Sure. I will go past Anthea and I will take my glaive off of my back, and with one hand I will pull the door open and then brace my hand on my glaive and step through.
As you step through the quarters into the next one, you find yourself in a much nicer cabin. The folks who are asleep here are very well dressed. They are wearing clothing of nobility, from the two adults and the child. You assume these three are a family. Just the child looks eerily similar to the woman who's here, even in her slumber. The woman at the far end of the train car seems like she is slowly disappearing into the couch on which she lays. Almost like she's being slowly consumed or falling deeper and deeper into the slumber that she is in.
Hmm.
Everybody make me perception checks, please.
Reason at all?
Perception. Damn it.
Oh no! The song failed!
I tried.
As Anthea and Ballista, you are keeping your eyes and your ears out and kind of just tracking everything about this room. You see that the woman who is being pulled into the couch, you almost hear like a whisper coming from her. Just
If you whispered something like actually with your voice, I didn't hear it.
nope.
Likewise.
There was no words. There was just an exhalation. You're too far away to hear what she said.
Okay.
Very confused.
I'm right there with Pi. I was a little lost too. I was like, I heard nothing.
Yeah, I was like, what is this silence? Was something said? Did I miss it?
No, all you heard was
Oh,
Ah,
that
okay.
sounds
Okay.
amazing.
That's even worse, but
That's
okay.
comforting.
Go listen.
Okay. I'll slowly make my way over with my glaive out.
Maybe she needs help.
From the back, Villista just says, we should not stay here for long.
Are we hearing anything now?
as you get closer, you guys hear her. You see it. She's struggling against being pulled into the couch, but there's not much fight left in her. She's being pulled, but you can see she's fighting with the last remaining bits of energy that she has. She has one eye that's wide open, just staring off, like she's trying to focus on something. And you're looking at her from up here, but her eyes don't roll that high up. But you can see the white of her eye by how like wide and open her eye is, and she's kind of staring off down. Let me see if I can actually do it. She's staring off down that way. And she whispers, "The tickets, they have his blood. It's the key." And she gets pulled further and further in to this couch, resisting.
Can I try to step up and hold out an arm to her?
You can. Go ahead and roll an athletics check.
Can I try
With-
to brace myself like on the couch?
Sure.
This looks terrible. I don't want someone to get eaten by a couch. That's a 9.
You go to brace yourself on the couch and grab onto her, but it's just pulling so strong that you don't have the strength with which to fight against it, and your feet slip on the arm of the couch and you tumble backwards, landing on your rear on the ground. She's being pulled further and further into the couch. And you see the couch itself is almost pulsating. Just
I will help Anthea up and guide her behind me to stay away from the couch.
okay.
The tickets have his blood. They are the key to his demise. Huh.
Are those same tickets that we were surprised to find in our pockets?
I want to try to find my ticket again.
Okay. Go ahead and roll either an investigation or a history check, so you can either try and find it or remember where you put it.
Can I bardic inspiration her?
Sure.
Ooh,
Have a D8.
Is it a D8
It
or a
doesn't
D10?
Have a D10. Have a D.
I appreciate the
Ds.
higher version. Thank you. I don't need it with my natural 20. I remember the shape of
She
the
remembers
corners.
everything.
I remember it was cut with a paper cutter and not scissors.
As you reach through your pocket, remembering where you'd placed the ticket that you surprisingly found before, as you look at it, you get this sense that it itself is evil. When you checked the ticket before it was punched, it seemed okay. Now that you're looking at it, now that you're awake from the dream that you were having, you can see now that there are traces and almost an indiscernible to the eye, and it would have been indiscernible to the eye had you not rolled what you rolled, blood rune on the ticket, kind of woven into the fabric of the ticket itself.
Miss Anthea, do you know anything about this? And I will point it out so that way she can kind of discern it, because just based off of who Naomi is, she would have no idea what it is.
Examine it closer.
You can roll an Arcana check.
Ooh.
Arcana. A.
20. Dirty 20.
This rune is a type of magic which forces the subconscious of its victim to be sent to the plane of dreams, with no intention of returning them.
That's some bad juju.
It's very bad juju.
We've been hexed. We assume that this rune was added by the ticket taker, dude? It wasn't there before.
Looking at where the hole is on the ticket, it's in the exact same place on every single ticket. As subconsciously, when you guys all pulled out your tickets, you all held them between your thumb and your first finger and held them up to be punched. And the hole that was punched in each ticket is in the exact same place. Like if you were to lay the tickets on top of each other, it would be a perfect replica all the way through. Like they're in perfect symmetry. The holes are in the exact same spot. And you can imagine that the rune that was there um, was activated by the punching of the ticket, by that ticket puncher.
Oh, how clever. I mean, also terrible, but clever.
Agreed. It's quite terrible. Slightly clever, I will give it that, but
Well, I guess the only way to go is the same way we were going.
Yes, I suggest we keep moving. She is already too gone. The longer we spend here, the faster those children waste away.
agreed. If any of you come up with anything about the runes and maybe how to counteract them, I fear I will be no help in that topic. So,
Do our best.
So you're
I
pushing
believe in you.
you're pushing your way through to the next train car?
Yep.
Okay. I will pull packs down here with you guys. I will do
Whee!
this. So you guys one by one follow each other into the next train car. And this train car seems to be a man sleeping on his feet, holding a bale of hay with what looks to be tendons extended from the floor and the walls, just wrapped around his arms and his legs and almost binding him in position. He looks like he's fully asleep on his feet, but bound by these tendinous membranes emanating from the floor and the walls of this train car. You look around, there's bales of hay, there's other bits of storage in this room, grains and bags of beans and things like that. And this looks like it's more of a supply cart where this guy was working. He, compared to everyone else you've seen, looks very impoverished. He looks like he has maybe nothing to his name but the clothes on his back, and they are very shabby, as is. This may be how he makes his way on this train, through working. But looking at him now, he's a shell of his former self. And as you take in more of this cart, you see that more and more cracks are appearing in the ceiling and the floor and the walls, and more musculature and tendinous fibrous membranes are starting to push their way through. And this cart, more so than the ones before, seems to be further along in the process of transformation. Whatever it is that is transforming into, it seems to be moving further along and more quickly the further you go on this train.
Does he still look like he's alive?
Currently
Or
looks
is
like
it-
he's asleep on his feet. You can go
But he's-
investigate him if you would like.
Yes, 100%.
As you go up and you look at his body and you listen for breath, and you hold your hand over his chest and at his neck to try and feel for pulses. It doesn't feel like there's a heartbeat, but he's breathing.
Can I roll either investigation or I suppose maybe even medicine would do this, but what I'm trying to figure out is um how long has he been held in this position for? Like with the tendrils holding him. Does it look like they've had the grip on him for a long time? Or does it look like it was new? So is this like where he's getting gripped, is it reddened around that area? Like it's been holding there for quite a while? Has he lost any colorization? Like if it's on his forearm, did his hands lose color? Like things like that.
Go ahead and roll a medicine check.
I'm gonna take that D10 now.
Okay.
Better.
So, as you look, you see that.
Oh wait, I with the skill checks I get to roll 2 and choose which one I take, right?
I think so.
I think that
We'll say yeah, just for now. And if it's not, it's not. But yeah, there you go.
okay.
14. So, as you look under where the tendrils are binding his shins and his wrists, you see that the markings under his wrists are very dark, deep bruising. You see that his hands seem to have faded to this ashy gray blue color. His lips are also this dark blue, and you see that his skin itself is starting to tint a little on the blue side. Um, and as you feel his flesh, you feel nothing but coldness, no clamminess. He's dry and he's cold, but he's breathing, but he's got no heartbeat. So you're not sure if he's dead, but he's been in this position for a significant amount of time to get his body to look the way that it currently looks. You know that to be at least a few hours.
I'll look to Anthea and say, maybe we can try to heal him. I have some healing, but not a whole lot. What do you think?
Yeah, we can try.
Here, let me try. If we just want to try a little bit, I can help a little like I helped everybody else, and we can see if that makes any difference. Just so test a little bit. And I will reach out and gently touch him and try to expend one lay on hands.
Okay. As you go and expend one lay on hands, as you go to imbue him with this radiant, holy, healing energy, your hand is thrown back in your face, almost like it was forced away, like you touched an oven too quickly, and you just pulled your hand back. But it's like as you went to place your hand on his shoulder to heal him, it was forced off of his body, and it doesn't look like his body moved, just like something in there forced your hand off, and it doesn't seem that the magical desired effect had any effect.
Dang it.
Should I cut him free?
I guess it can't hurt. Well, I mean, it could hurt, but yeah, that seems like a good try.
If he has this much of a connection with this train, cutting him free could kill him.
Well, then I will leave the decision up to you. Would you rather him live in blissful ignorance in his dreams, or would you rather have him die free?
What if there's another way? What if we keep going and find something else?
I feel bad for the man, but I'm willing to try to find a third option.
Same. I guess we could just continue looking, perhaps?
Maybe if we find this master, we can stop his hold he has over the people on this train.
All right.
At least we can try.
So press forward.
4 amazing heroes. What can you do against us?
Quite right.
Like inspiration.
So you guys
That's
are
what's it called? Motivational speech.
right.
Exactly.
You guys are continuing on into the next cart. Okay. You guys fiddle with this door for a second, and as you go to open it, it's almost like it opens on its own. And as you step into this cart, you see there are many people in this car,
Ooh.
but they're also all in that dream state where they are being bound by the tendinous membranes of this train. The floor of this cart, as you step on it, you feel it kind of gives a little under your weight. And as you look down, the floor itself looks like what you imagine an intestine looks like. It's moving constantly, like something is swallowing or something is being processed through it. As you step on it, you feel your weight kind of give, go down and come up, kind of like you're stepping on a trampoline. Not bouncy, but it's just got that give underneath of you.
Me, or is this train getting more fleshy?
Is definitely getting more fleshy. Ugh. Are they wrapped in tendrils as well?
Yes, they are.
Yes,
Is it worth trying
onto.
to detach the tentacle somehow? Have we like tried to interact with them in any way?
Well, the primary reason would be it could end up hurting them, but if Anthea's friend is buying us time, I am a bit concerned from a strategy standpoint that us messing with the tendrils may give away our position.
Oh, good point. Good point.
As much as I hate to say it, we may need to press on further.
Yeah. Yeah, good call.
Anthea, any ideas?
I agree. I think we just have to push on. It's all we can do. It's all we know is that there's this master. Hopefully we can persuade them to let go of these people.
Everyone deserves their freedom, and this is, no matter how much this is painted to be freedom, it is not.
No.
As I'm walking, I kind of pause for a second, and I kind of shout to everyone, They are waking. I suggest we move fast in case anything bad should happen to them.
Good idea.
Okay. As you all make your way through this train, you open the two doors between these carts, and as you step through, you see in front of you the ticket taker, and you see on all sides lining this car,
Oh, God.
these
Oh,
statue forms. And as you look, you see that the redness in their eyes is that of humans. And you can look and you can see that each set of eyes is crying. But these golem-looking creatures don't seem to be moving. They don't seem to be speaking or acting in any way that is untoward. And the ticket taker, who had punched your tickets yesterday on your arrival on the train, says, Now, everybody just calm down. No need to get so emotional. They are merely passengers. They will join you soon, I'm sure. I'm sure the master will have a nice place for them. It's quite surprising to, well, see them awake, but sometimes the blood demon arts don't always take, and sometimes the victims of those are a little stronger than, well, even we anticipated. So, well, we'll just have to utilize the children once again, and this time, be sure to change their minds and convince them that what we're doing is right. And you four should go back to your cart and wait.
I politely decline.
I would like to Misty step behind him.
Okay.
As Ballista disappears, I want to take just a single step forward. Boop.
Okay.
Let me just pop that in real quick so it's marked as gone.
He still stands there, unwavering, unaffected by the fact that you stepped towards him and Misty stepped behind him.
Standing there behind him, Fellista's eyes are going to kind of burn this dark black, and I would like to attempt to cast Crown of Madness on him.
Okay. You see this crown appears.
This jagged crown of steel and ice. And I kind of... Valista's not the strongest person, but I would like to put my frosted arm on his shoulder and kind of force him to the ground under my influence.
Okay.
And kind of turning him to face me at the same time.
Alright.
And just the burning coals for her eyes is just going to look deep into him and say, "You will tell me everything you know."
You see the atmosphere around the ticket taker seems to change. Instead of this calm, collected, nonchalant, very well-dressed, well-put-together man. You now have before you, with this crown of ice and steel spinning around their head, brought to one knee, a shell of a man. He looks at you with pleading in his eyes. It says, please, just end it. I don't want to be tortured anymore. I can't take it. I've been here my whole life. I've given him so many souls. I've given him so many children. I've given him so many. When will it be enough? When will it be enough? Please, please,
You can ease your pain.
just take me away. End me. Please, I beg of you. Kill me, please.
As I have him under my influence, I am going to, still holding him to the ground, I'm going to look dead in his eyes and say, he is yours to take. And in this moment, as I'm holding him, I would like to attempt to call to the prince to take him.
Okay. Roll for me a persuasion. Persuasion at advantage.
Persuasion at advantage.
You all see as this man who's begging for death is on his knees in front of Ballista. Ballista kind of calls out to someone, to something. And as you all kind of watch, looking onward, in about the blink of an eye, a shadow erupts from the back of Ballista, and the man on his knees in front of her flash freezes in this coating of black ice. And then this behemoth of shadow dives into the behemoth of black ice. The whole train goes dark for only a couple of seconds, and when the light pops back on, he's gone. And Thea, as you look closer and closer at these not humans, you see that their eyes are, while still weeping, they keep looking left to right between you, Pax, and Naomi, and then the ones closest to Naomi are looking as far as they can up towards Ballistus. And as they notice the taker disappear, like it going dark and bright again, all of their eyes get very, 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 very big, and then all the redness disappears. And you all start to feel the train kind of shimmy, pulsate, and start to kind of creak and crack and stretch and maneuver itself like that of a snake body. And the cart that you were in, the musculature begins to burst through the walls and the ceiling and the floor, and it's getting slimier and more fleshy, and the rooms are getting a little tighter. You see that the doors blow off of both ends of this car. You can see into the car that's back here, and you can see that the people that were there are now being completely engulfed by these tendrils, by these muscles that are popping out of all areas of this car. And you can see ahead of you up this direction, there is not another car that you can go into, but there is another car there. And you see as the door itself shatters from that car, there's almost these like purple rocks and coals that are glowing. And as you notice this, and you notice that the roof of the car itself is being reeled back, you hear laughter, and the light around you changes. And as you kind of gain your balance to what's happening, I'm gonna put you guys all in the thing so you can see it. You guys look outside, and you see now that the moon that was white before, that Anthea thought was an eye, is now this blood red color. The train itself seems to have stopped. All of the sky, the clouds, and everything around you are giant and red. And you see off in the distance, and hear it first, kind of flying around, you see this man. And as you look up, he's hovering quite a distance above the train, and he looks down to all of you, and all he says is, "Excellent. I see my dinner has arrived." And that